Hi everyone, it's Nubian Raw back with another video, and today I just want to have some story time and go in depth on a video I made about my son being autistic and then my other son having heart issues. And where I'm going with this is just the fact that I had to go through the system to be able to get all of their needs met. And I'm just going to have story time about my experience and my experience with narcissistic personalities and how frustrating it was to get the help that we need. And I'm still going through that situation. But this is just my story time. It helped me get the word out there. Maybe someone can relate. Put in the comments how you dealt with this situation if you have gotten past narcissistic personalities within the system in these specific situations. Because I got too frustrated to the point where I didn't give up, but I took a break. So I'm gonna start with my son that has autism. He's just now starting to get diagnosed, and he's 10. And he's always had issues in school, and the school never said anything. They actually took that program out of the school. So now it's solely dependent on the doctor to refer you to someone to be able to get your child looked at for autism. That is a hard situation because the school system, I feel like, should have never took that out of their procedures, because the child is getting taught at the school, and autism is not only a motor disability, it's a learning disability, and school work on motor disabilities and learning disabilities. And they used to anyway, and they stopped. So public school, he goes to a public school. Public schools are pretty much shutting down. The teachers aren't even getting paid like they should. So yeah, enough about that. I just wanted to get to the part where I went through the process of getting him diagnosed, dealing with narcissistic personalities in the system. I had to deal with the clinical scientists or doctors that were first trying to find out how severe his autism was. And then it's like when they questioned me, it was like they didn't take my word for anything, even though they seen that his behavior did look at something as autism. And one of the doctors actually slipped up and she said his autism, like, okay, she knows he has autism, but yet they're taking me through the ringer with therapists and trying to get into my business, asking him questions. And you don't ask autistic children questions, because if you know anything about autistic children, their stories can be destroyed because their way of thinking. And I was getting a little upset because I already don't really trust the system like that, because I've had so many people try to set me up, and I didn't really deserve it. It's just based off of the fact that they didn't like me. And dealing with narcissistic personalities inside the system, this can happen often. So a lot of times you'll find yourself fighting to get what you need done. So it was very devastating, because being a single mother and then having other kids, it's just very unfortunate and it's inconvenient. And I actually didn't think about actually telling the truth at the doctor's office when they'll give you examinations for your child. Does he do this? Does he do that? X, Y, and Z. And then they'll tell you like, oh, well, we think he might have this or that, and I think you should get him checked. I didn't think about that when I was younger. When I had Malik, I was 19. So I just want to get in the doctor and out the doctor. I didn't ever think it would be me that would end up with an autistic child. So I didn't really answer the question truthfully. Could that have been my fault? Yes. But I'm older now, and I realize taking accountability is one thing, but then not making people be responsible for their part that they play and taking too much credit for things is not the way to go. So I feel like with me being a young mother, there should have been somebody there to say something with all the degrees and stuff that was going around. But people aren't really that concerned these days. They have their own issues. And that's a whole nother video. But yeah, he's 10, and I'm trying to get him diagnosed for autism. And they want to put him on medicines and stuff. And he doesn't need any medicines. Autism is just people who cannot get with programming the way that they whitewash us and brainwash us. You can't brainwash autistic children, autistic people. What they call people that have mental disorders and stuff. And it's not mental disorders. It's just really people who just refuse to do things outside of their own natural self, and a program is converting you to be something that you're not. And with him and having autism, that's just not how it works for him. So it is very frustrating to actually know that they would want to put him on medicine and stuff just because he's special, and he has a lot of spiritual gifts as well. Just by him not being programmed, he can automatically just, be himself authentically, and he's not, worried about who judges him. And I really protect him for that because I know how the world is. They like to crucify people for being themselves, so that's one thing. And then the last one is really touching to me because it made me the most upset. And that's when I had my pair of twins, and one of them came out with a heart defect and an improved-created anus. He came out without a butthole. And that was kind of weird to me. And I was devastated. And it was new to me, and I was alone. And he had to stay in a hospital that's an hour and a half away from where I stay. And if anyone knows, this hospital is Duke Children's Hospital. Yeah, they did us bad. I couldn't stay there with him because Malik is a school-age child, and we lived an hour and a half away. So I had to leave him there and just go visit often. And it was tough for me because we just had twins, and the finances was kind of funny, and then the help to be able to get Malik off the bus or get him into school if I had to go up to the hospital, that was little to none. So he had to come with us a lot of times, and then the school was complaining, and it was no support. Nobody really sympathized with me, and I was hurt. And at that time, I was very frustrated, and I'm glad I handled these situations well. But I had a situation where I went into the hospital and I asked the nurse for his medicine list, and the times where he had to go to sleep, like times he went to take a nap and they changed him, and they keep a record of all of that, of all of those things. And so I asked them for their records, copies of their records of, all the regiments that they were doing for him. The nurses were rude. They didn't want to give me the information I asked for. They would change shifts and nurses. Nurses was walking off on me. Didn't want to answer my questions. I went to the higher ups and they were saying that I was being unreasonable, and there was nobody to complain to, and if there was, I didn't know who to complain to. I was young, I didn't know. It was my first time going through this experience, and a lot of the nurses were bad spirited. I could tell. The babies in the NICU were taking off the things that were attached to them, heart monitors and stuff, because they're babies and they didn't want it on them. And the nurse, I saw one nurse get upset. Her face turned so evil and she was mad and telling the baby, "Now I have to put it back on you." And she was rough with the baby and the baby started crying. And I was like, wow. And then I realized at that second, like, oh, they mistreat these babies. I don't want to accuse, of anybody of anything, but I'm just saying what I saw. I'm not saying it was all nurses, but I'm just stating what I saw and my experience. Because my baby, when he was born, his eyes were not stagnant. Now he has a stagnation in his eyes. And when I asked them about it, they tried to tell me that they gave him too much medicine. They had my baby on opioids because he had open heart surgery. And they're blaming it on that. They said he had an inner bleed leak in his brain. And now I have to get him tested for autism because I feel like that altered his motor skills and how he can critically think and all those things. Something. Because he's having a hard time potty training. He's 3. And it's like he really doesn't really understand the concept. So I feel like it's linked to the brain bleed. And I was going around trying to talk to people, trying to get information. Everybody was sending me around, like chasing my tail. If I was a dog, they were like treating me as if I wasn't a human. Like I couldn't have been concerned about my child. And it was really making me upset. And at that time, I realized it was a setup. I said, let me calm down in this place before they try to call the police on me or something. Because for some reason, when I get into it, because it's happened to me plenty of times before, when I get upset with the governmental people, they want to call the police on me. The school called the police on me. The school did call the police on me. That's another video. But the stories and stuff it's just crazy. Like, I just didn't understand like why I couldn't get my needs met and why everybody was taking me in circles and I was by myself. I didn't have anyone there to help me through it. And for some reason, Black women are ignored the most. And it made me feel helpless because I'm responsible for my children. And for people to take advantage of my situation and mess my baby up, and I couldn't do nothing about it. It kind of, did something to me. And I was depressed for a while. And it's crazy because we have to watch what kind of what kind of vaccines and foods and things we giving our children, because I think that's how my oldest son got autism. I think he had got it from a vaccine, maybe from whenever he was a baby. And it's just crazy. Like, I never would have thought, like, the hospitals and the school systems would not really care about people's needs after they done created the issues, using us as lab rats within a maze correlated system. And yeah, that's just my experience with that. And I just feel like just knowing that there are narcissistic personalities within the system that's dealing with children in the way they treat the children, it just lets you know what kind of world we live in. And I don't understand why people are surprised at people that actually notice these things and speak up. I still don't understand why people are surprised at that. Like it's not visible, you know? And also with my son that had the heart issue, when I got home with him, I had to deal with the nursing agency. There was narcissistic personalities in the agency. I had to keep getting new nurses because I was firing them. They were coming in my house, bringing bad spirits in the house. They were not treating my baby fairly. And one of them lied on me. And it was just a lot. And I had no choice but to deal with it for like a month because it was part of the program that my baby, they automatically put my baby in because of his heart issue. They didn't ask me anything, you know. And then when I tried to fight it, they wanted to call DSS on me. So it was just a lot. Like, I just didn't understand at the time why I felt so helpless, you know. But eventually everything worked itself out. And those experiences helped me realize that I needed the growth to learn about not only narcissistic relationships, but about how narcissism can be everywhere and how it works to destroy, kill, distract, block certain people. And you would say they work for free because you don't get nothing out of that. But maybe they do. I don't know. But it's all part of the plan. It was the moment I realized God had a plan for me and my babies. And then things started changing. My son started walking, and I thought he would never walk because of all the surgeries and how he was already behind and he had to stay in a crib. Most of the time he was at the doctor, unless I had came or the nurses had came and like worked with him to move him around and things of that nature. He started walking. He started building up his strength. And it was the happiest day of my life because anything could have happened. And I was just blissful that he made it out okay. And that he made it out okay. And I'm just thankful, I'm grateful that my son with autism, he has gotten better with his autism from going to speech. But I'm just glad that I found out what he actually needs, because I didn't know. And now that I know, I can get what the help that he needs, because a lot of times, a lot of mothers don't know that their child might have autism or some type of learning disability. And then the child gets 18, 19, and then have to work a job, and life gets stressful for them. A lot of times they don't understand why they make bad choices in life, and they don't have anybody there to walk them through it. And they might really just have some type of form of autism, and it's on a spectrum. And I can actually say this with a clear conscience, because I know for a fact that there are people that are on the what they call the high spectrum of autism that are not diagnosed with autism at all. And it's because the school systems do not check for this. So it's solely up on the parents' prerogative. And if the parent is young or just don't know it, just never really thought about it, or just don't, think about it, then the child never get what it needs. And maybe it's a good thing, because nowadays people just want to put your child on medicine, put them on a check, But I do definitely feel like something needs to be done about the vaccines and was being put in the food and was being taught to our children, and how women are conceiving, period, because it starts from the womb, But that's a whole nother video. And once those problems are solved, then maybe our children can come out more healthy mentally, because they look fine on the outside most of the time, but then what about their minds, Well, that's all I would like to say for this video. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you all for watching. You can comment. Please comment, share, subscribe if you feel to do so. It's much appreciated. My Cash App is in the description. I am accepting donations. That's greatly appreciated as well. And everyone have a great night, because I know I am going to bed. Okay, peace and love.